What's up, everybody? It is a Blue Drake, and I know it's 4 a.m. right now, but my developer just sent me this project file, and I was like, oh my god, this is too cool. I have to show this off right now, and I know I should wait until everything is like packaged and perfect and showcaseable, but I'm really not that kind of person. I'm really not. Like, I just want to show everything, and to be honest, that's kind of a good thing. The entire spirit of this project is to be open and have the community be a part of every step of the process and maintaining that transparency and progressing together. So even though it's 4 a.m., this is probably going to be kind of like a on the DL update. Not as many people are going to see it. I still really like showing this off because it's so awesome. But anyways, what we're going to be showing today, we just did a physics demonstration of our physics system that we're working on previously, and the same guy who's actually working on that physics system worked on this. What we're looking at is the first vehicle that we've been working on. Now, there's a lot more that's going to be going into this, obviously, to make this quote-unquote playable, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, everybody always talks about what a finished game is. Honestly, what I'm about to show you is probably more finished of a quote-unquote game than like 90% of the titles that people try to release on Steam. But there is a lot more that's probably going to go into having multiple people being in the vehicle, having the vehicle be networked, have it work in a multiplayer environment, damage, all that stuff. But with that said, so you know exactly how far this is right here and right now, what I'm going to be showing you is the M109. Bam! This is something our community has been working on, and when I say our community, take a shot, I know a lot of you guys get really confused as to what that means and what this project is. For instance, I did the physics system showcase previously, and everybody was like, "Oh man, you didn't make this. This is a plugin that you can buy." Well, yeah, no, I know it is. It's Evgeny's plugin. The guy that made that physics system, you can go onto the marketplace and you can get it yourself if you want. But he's a contractor for us. He works for us. That guy is working on our project. So yes, and that's the entire point. What we're doing when I made my previous video and I was like, oh man, I want to break apart how people see game development. Like, I want to change everything. I want to take games out of the hands of just quote-unquote developers and put it into the hands of artists. And there was a lot of people that got mad about that because they didn't really know what I meant. That they really think that I want to make everything free and pay people really crappy amounts of money. And when that's not the case at all. For instance, this M109. This M109 here, it's really, really cool. When I say this is a M109 that we're working on for our game, what that means is we hired people, or we bought pre-existing assets to put together in order to make this tank. So what we did is there are hundreds of contractors and freelancers online that you can hire and that can work for our community to make, for instance, this. So we went online and we found this M109 howitzer 3D model, $95, right? And then we found another company that converts these really, really high poly or high detail models that would not be optimized for a game. They convert them to low poly, which makes it more optimized for an actual game and makes it work. And then what we did is the same guy that actually did the physics system, we hired him in order to do the rigging. And what the rigging means is you take this pre-made model and you animate all the parts. So you go in here and here, you know what? Let me just take over the tank really quick and get inside of it. If you start going forward, you'll see the treads are moving. And when we start getting on these bumps, you'll see all the different wheels going up and down. That's what rigging is. You take this model and you take all of the pieces on the model and you make it so they're independent moving parts, but they still stay stuck to the model. So if, for instance, if you wanted to get an M4 model, if you got a model for a M4 and you take that M4 and you put it into a game, well, it's not going to do anything. It doesn't have any moving pieces. It's not been rigged. It's not been animated. But that is the process of rigging. You take a model that is static. It's a model. I mean, when you think of a word model, it doesn't move. And then you specifically delineate all of the moving parts and you cut it up so it can actually have moving parts. So you can do stuff like this. So that's what we did. We bought a model, and we paid the artist for his work. We took that to another company that specifically takes these models and converts them into a low poly count that can be used in a game. And then we found another contractor who does rigging, and he went through and he rigged and animated the entire vehicle. Bam, and there you have it. And that's the miscommunication here. I think a lot of people think like, oh man, development is easy. When I think of development, I think of, you know, the actual creation of games. And the creation of games is easy. It really is. Nowadays, we are lucky to have all of the technology where, for instance, do you remember the first versions of Due Process? Here, let me show you. This is what it looked like. Very boxy. It was very simplistic. It was easy to make all of these different little pieces and stuff like that. When you compare it to the amount of effort required to create Battlefield 1 or something like that, astronomically smaller amounts of effort. However, do you want to see what this game looks like now? This is what Due Process looks like now.
Grab their guns. Don't move and try to see if they have a wall charge.
Alright, sounds good.
I'm gonna sim.
This is not easy. This takes a huge attention to detail. This takes an artistic flair. This takes so much work to do. And that's the miscommunication. I think people think when I say making a game is easy, they think I'm saying that being an artist or making an incredible game is easy. It's not easy to make a beautiful model. It's not easy to rig an entire tank. It's not easy to make beautiful sound design. The easy part is putting them together. That's the easy part. Let's say you're a talented modeler and you need somebody to rig your models. You don't need to go through a company to find somebody to do that for you. You don't need to have EA come and buy your hard work for $50,000 and then throw it into a basement and lock and key and not let anybody else touch it for the rest of eternity. You don't need that. They're doing the easy part for you. And those developers, they don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know how easy their job is. And I'm talking directly to artists right now. Incredibly talented modelers, sound designers, all of these people. What's going to happen is these people are going to buy you up, and then as soon as their game starts making money, they're going to cut you loose. And the only people that are going to make the amount of money that your work is worth are going to be the people at the top, because they're the ones telling you how much your work is worth. You're not actually getting what your work is worth. That's not a viable business model. Why would that happen? You're not getting that. You're getting what they say your work is worth, which is bullshit. I don't believe in that. What I believe in is this. I believe in artists taking charge of their own creations. And this guy's only selling his model for $95, sure. But you know what the difference is? As opposed to one company buying everything and licensing all the rights to that piece of work. Now you can have 100, 1,000 people buying that model. You might even make more money opening up your work to the world than you would letting some company steal it and throw it away just to grind it down and make as much as they can just for themselves and nobody else. And I know that's a controversial topic, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be fighting me on that. But to be honest, I'm going to tell you right now, if you're a modeler and somebody shows you this video and they're like, man, that guy's full of shit, they're fucking you. They are fucking you. They really are. And I get saddened when I see people who I'm fighting for fighting against me, because I know they've gotten caught up in that stigma. And that's a shame, but that's what I want to change. I want artists to start getting the credit and the money and the fame that they deserve for their work. Not people that just take all of their work and throw it together and make a game, which is funny, because that's what I do. That's why I know that's the easy part, because I do it. And I'm trying to be open here, and I feel like if I wanted to, if I was an evil person, I could not make this video at all, and I could just profit off of this and buy people's work and license them to hell and then make pretend that my job is really, really hard. I'm not doing that. I'm trying to save the art form because I just want to play awesome games. And that's why I want to make this game free. I don't want to sit here and profit off of everyone. Not when something like Unreal Engine 4 is so easy. I mean, hell, even Iron Armada. I mean, we're probably going to release Iron Armada at $10, and that's because making Iron Armada from scratch in Java has been more work than making all of this in Unreal Engine 4. That's how easy putting together stuff in Unreal Engine 4 is. It's so much easier. I'm a YouTuber. I just want to record footage of awesome games that are modifiable, that we can actually fit to our play styles, and so I can play with my community. And if there's one thing that I've been seeing getting in the way of that, it's companies buying up everybody's rights and then just sitting on them. I hate that. I hate that. I want it to change more than I want to milk everybody for money. Anyways, moving on. This tank we're going to continue working on. Whenever I get things like this, it's so cool to see the kinds of things that are possible, and I just enjoy being a vessel that connects all of these talented people to create such amazing things, and I want to see how far this can go. And this relies on the community and you all so much. So if you want to help out, go to bluedrake42.com, go to Codename Harsh Doorstop. It's a sub forum, and there you can talk with everybody about creating and working together and building amazing things. Obviously, I'll be there. I spend as much time as I can learning how to do like modeling and stuff like that. I'm nowhere near as good as anybody else. I just do it just for the fun of it. But mainly, I'm working on maintaining our forums, maintaining our server systems, maintaining the open source repository that we're actually going to be hopefully releasing this weekend. I had to work with a lot of our really talented technical staff to create a auto updater. We were using SVN, but I think that was way too complicated for a lot of the contributors. So what we're doing is we're migrating to our own auto downloader system that we built ourselves. It's the same one that you see in Battlefield 1942, PRCE, and stuff like that. And we're using that to replace SVN. So what that means, all the disregarding all the techno mumbo jumbo, is when we release this as open source, there's going to be a single GitHub repository, and in that GitHub repository there is going to be an executable. You launch that once and it updates your content folder with all of the assets that we are legally allowed to open source. I think GitHub has like a repository limit of like a gigabyte or something like that, and we have like 3 gigabytes of work and probably going to be way more, so that's why we had to do that. Lots of political stuff going on that I have to work on. Obviously, we have to release all of the work that we do through Epic. Right now, we're dividing all of the work that we can release as open source as what we can't. Unfortunately, this tank is one of those things that we can't open source. Obviously, the guy created it. We can't release, unbaked files and stuff like that. But again, the code work, crouching, standing, all that stuff is going to be released for free and open source to the community so they can modify it. And we're going to have placeholder content and like placeholder tanks and stuff like that, so you can see what your work would look like if we incorporate it into the core game. And then the last thing that we need to do is we need to decide on the license that we're releasing the open source work under. We think we're going to release it under a license that kind of maintains the spirit of the project, which is we really want everybody to work together to create a free game communally for the world. So we're going to release all of our stuff as open source, but right now we're working on a license that allows anybody to use it, but they can't create their own paid games for it. So if they use it, their game also has to be free. So kind of, like we give it to you for free, but the stuff you have to create for free. I think that's pretty fair because, the alternative is you can just go to the marketplace and buy stuff and then sell that game. So just kind of creating that mentality. And yeah, that's it. That's pretty much it. The last thing that we've been working on is we already have a couple of community teams, and those community teams, their main goal recently has been to recreate some of the assets like AK-47s, M4s, and stuff like that, and make it so those can be open source. So if we buy stuff off the marketplace that can't be open sourced just because of, you know, the license that comes with it, a lot of the community members are donating their time and hard work, and you really need to find those people and thank them. There's too many. I'll have to make a list on the forums of them, and you know, they're still working, of course, but they're remaking a lot of that content for free for the community to use, so we don't have to worry about legal issues. But yeah, all right, that's it. Thanks so much, guys. I will talk to you next time. Go register on the forums. If you want to support us, please do. We have to pay for that server that's going to host all of the open source content files and stuff like that. And then I'll see you guys next time. All right, love you. Bye.